Welcome to Jumanji, digital world. Yes, it's movie review time. Welcome back. It is Boxing Day down here in Australia, and I assume all over the world as well. But Boxing Day is a particular lovely time of year. A whole bunch of movies are released, all at the same time, and everybody's off work and off school, so everybody goes to the cinemas all at the same time together. Isn't that just lovely? It honestly is. No, there's nothing cynical about that. It's just a very different feeling going to a cinema packed full of people than going to a cinema on a Tuesday afternoon, say, with yourself, the only one in there, all alone. All alone. No, it's nice to have some friends for once. Ha 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 ha. We're going to laugh through the pain and we're going to keep going. Now, here in Australia, we got some Boxing Day releases that I am told, and what I've seen on the internet, have been out in America and in other countries for quite some time. So, I'm not sure how late to this review is getting up for most people. You may have seen it, you may not have. I try to get on top of these things as soon as it's possibly available for me. But I know that other movies like Jojo Rabbit that have come out today have been available for quite some time. So, if you have seen this film, but you want to hear what I think about it, welcome. If you haven't seen this film and you want to know what I think about it, welcome. And if you haven't seen this film and you're not going to see it, but you got nothing to do, then listen to Spliced In Later. Once again, welcome. Now, I gave you a bit of a clue at the start of this podcast. What movie am I reviewing? That's right. How to Train Your Dragon. No. Jumanji, The Next Level. The third Jumanji movie. I've been excited to see this one. I've been holding off on my top 10 movies of 2019 until I saw this movie. Just in case, you never know. I'd hate for something to miss out on a list that I really would want to be on that list if it were good or not. And we're going to get right into it. We like to get these reviews started off before we go on a tangent and we end up with a half-hour recording with barely anything said. So let's get right down to it. Beginning, of course, with the original Jumanji. Put it out there immediately that I love the original Jumanji with all my heart. It is one of my favorite films, and it is one of my favorite Robin Williams films. It's an incredible concept. If you haven't seen Jumanji, you're missing out. Definitely give it a go. Very simple premise of a board game that is magic, and when played, brings the turns that you make to life. It's a jungle-themed game, so you get attacked by all sorts of horrifying animals, from spiders to snakes, rhinos, lions, man, the greatest animal of them all. Ha 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 ha. But no joke, yeah, man's come after you in this as well. What I love so much about Jumanji, the original Jumanji, is Robin Williams in it and his type of humor. Robin Williams, may he rest in peace, was one of the greatest comedians that I watched growing up. He was one of my favorites, and it is very sad that we now live in a world where he does not exist anymore. He brought his very specific Robin Williams type humor to his role as a displaced person, had started playing the game in the past, got trapped in the game, and is now helping some kids play the game at a future date. He displays some wild tendencies, very much like Robin Williams' humor of impersonating famous people and things. A lot of screaming, but there's also that warmth that Robin Williams always had in his humor. He was a man that you just wanted to give a hug, and you hoped that he would give you a hug too. It was very sweet. It was a very, very kind man. It makes you sad to think about the sorts of things that people are going through, people who end up taking their lives, that sort of thing. I respect Robin Williams. I miss him. Just a quick message out there to anybody that feels like they're suffering or needs to talk. Always talk. People are always there to listen, whether you think they're there or not. Whether it's a paid professional or just your buddy. But if you feel like you've got to talk, please say something. So we'll glide past that immediately by just giving my Jumanji 10 out of 10, the original Jumanji. Which means when these new Jumanji movies were announced and started being made, I will admit that I was cautious and a bit cynical. The timing seemed very off, in my opinion. Robin Williams had only recently passed, and within a few months later they were announcing a new Jumanji movie. And of course we went through the usual rumor mill. Is it a reboot? Is it a sequel? What's going on? How are they going to handle Robin Williams in this movie? So of course we got Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle in 2017, starring Dwayne Johnson, Jack Black, Kevin Hart, and Karen Gillan. And it was honestly a surprise hit. I went to the movie not expecting to enjoy it, and I came away having had a rather good time. And I'm pretty sure the rest of the world had quite a good time, because oh my goodness, did it rake in the numbers at the box office. It came out the same year as Star Wars The Last Jedi, and it gave Star Wars a run for its money, which is absolutely impressive. I doubt anyone expected a Jumanji movie to do that, which of course is probably why we have a sequel now. Let's keep making that money. Welcome to the Jungle. Great stuff, and it was mainly due to the chemistry that the four leads had with each other, mainly Dwayne Johnson, Jack Black, Kevin Hart, and Karen Gillan. Four very different people with very different styles of comedy. You've got Dwayne Johnson's likable goofiness, mixed of course with his big bulging muscles. I don't know if you've noticed, he's got a couple of them. Kevin Hart and his screaming diminutive status. Jack Black being cynical but pretty clever with his type of humor, very pointed. Again, lots of yelling. And of course, Karen Gillan, who was a bit of a newcomer around the time that she was in this movie. She'd only really taken off with Nebula in Guardians of the Galaxy, but she's a big name now as the kick-ass heroine. The concept of Jumanji was shaken up in that instead of the Jumanji-ness coming out into the real world, 4 kids were sucked into the game and became the avatars of the actors that were previously mentioned. The avatars that they inhabited were very different contrasts to the people that they were in real life. The big jock became short little Kevin Hart. The nasty cheerleader girl became Jack Black. Short, nerdy Jewish boy becomes Dwayne Johnson. And insecure girl becomes Karen Gillan. And of course, their adventures along the way as they try to complete the game and get out of Jumanji, they all learn how to be better friends and how to be comfortable with the people that they are. Usual stuff, but very funny. I had a good time with it, and I walked out of that film very happy. So of course, as the money comes rolling in and it gets higher and higher and it says Last Jedi, hey, Jumanji, we're a thing. Here we are 2 years later and we've got a sequel. Perhaps a third film, depending on if you count the original Jumanji as part of this trilogy. But yes, I have just seen Jumanji, The Next Level, and this is what I thought. It is good. It is pretty much the same as what Welcome to the Jungle was. So if you enjoyed that movie, you're probably going to enjoy this one. If you're going into this movie hoping that they do something more, you're probably going to be disappointed. But again, this is a comedy film about Jumanji. I don't think you should go in expecting that it's going to be this riveting, thought-provoking drama piece. That said, sitting watching the movie as everything was playing out, I did feel like I could guess what was going to happen next, just because I had already seen it in Welcome to the Jungle. Even character deaths, tasks they had to complete was all very similar. That said, they do twist it a little in the concept of the characters in this movie, and that's what really works for me. Basically, what happens with this movie is short, nerdy leader has become insecure and goes back into the game so he can be hulking Dwayne Johnson again, and his friends go in after him to rescue him. However, the game is not quite working properly. It's a bit broken. So everybody's avatars are all mixed up. Not everybody is exactly who they wanted to be. And additionally, main leader Spencer's grandparent, Eddie, played by Danny DeVito, and his old friend, played by Danny Glover, are also sucked into the game. And what follows is our heroes going off to find their friend, while also carrying along these 2 wacky older gentlemen who have no idea where they are, what's going on, and are absolutely no help whatsoever. This switch in avatars and adding these new characters is what makes this film as funny as it is. And I give special props to Kevin Hart and Jack Black. They absolutely made the movie for me. I was laughing hysterically whenever they were doing anything. Jack Black is no longer playing the girl. He's playing the jock, who's also angry that he is Jack Black. There's a lot of screaming, a lot of yelling. I was worried a little bit in the beginning that he was going to be playing to black stereotypes. Was a little concerning, but no, he does it tastefully as you can. And he is very good at going, I am Jack Black. I am not a fit man. I can't run very fast, and I'm upset about that. His distress at being Jack Black is fantastic. Kevin Hart, though. Kevin Hart, my goodness. He plays the avatar that has been inhabited by Danny Glover's older gentleman. Kevin Hart is hilarious impersonating Danny Glover. He is very suave and smooth when he's portraying Danny Glover reacting to things. His comedy is delivered just perfectly in terms of him acknowledging what's around him, using his powers, working with the other team. You could honestly believe that Kevin Hart has always been a 75-year-old man, and he's only just discovered it now. But you only see Danny Glover for a little bit at the start of the movie, and then you see Kevin Hart being him, and you absolutely believe that Kevin Hart is being inhabited by Danny Glover. I don't know how they were working together to get that copiness down pat, but it works. Anytime Kevin Hart spoke, fantastic. Which of course leads to a little bit of a hiccup though, because at the same time you have Dwayne Johnson playing the avatar that has been inhabited by Danny DeVito's character, the older gentleman. Now, I'm going to say right now, Danny DeVito is a national treasure. I love him with all my heart. I love him in every movie he's been in. I love him on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And I love him as a person. He just seems so great. I see all these memes about Danny DeVito being the next Spider-Man or the next Luke Skywalker. I'm down for it. I would gladly sign every petition I see that puts Danny DeVito in that sort of a role. Sure, it sounds silly, but that's just how much I love the guy. So seeing Dwayne Johnson pretend to be him, especially alongside Kevin Hart succeeding so well at being Danny Glover, he doesn't quite get it on point. Very much feels like he's just pretending to be Danny DeVito, to a point where you just wish, could they have found a way to rewrite the script so Danny DeVito could have gone into the movie and into the game and just been himself. We'll never know. And it's really hammered home halfway in the movie. There's a conundrum that everybody comes up against where people start swapping avatars. Don't want to spoil too much about the movie and which avatars are swapped into who, and whether it's permanent or not. You'll just have to watch the movie and see for yourself. But for a bit, a new avatar played by Awkwafina is inhabited by Danny DeVito's character, and her impression of Danny DeVito is spot on and absolutely hilarious. I would have loved to see her portray him for the whole movie, if I had to pick anyone, that is. So it is a shame. I get that Dwayne Johnson is our lead. He's the one that's got to carry the movie, but don't give him something that he can't do. Dwayne Johnson gets by on his charisma. I would love to be friends with Dwayne Johnson. I think he would be a great guy to hang out with. His acting skills are not the best in the world. That's fine, as long as everybody knows that and he knows that. But if you've got someone who's doing a better job than he is, by all means find a way to make that work so that Awkwafina can be Danny DeVito for as long as she needs to be to deliver that comedy. I think that have worked spectacularly more than what we got. However, that being said, it's nice to see Dwayne Johnson trying different things, and I do love him, and if he's ever listening, I would love to come and visit you sometime. The movie looks as good as it did with Welcome to the Jungle. There's some CGI that sometimes looks a bit brusque. What was charming about the original Jumanji was it really felt like a jungle that they were inhabiting. With this one, it's very much a video-y game, sort of defeat the bad guy. There's less jungle and more bad guys that they have to deal with, which of course brings in our bad guy played by Rory McCann. Doesn't do much, he's just your generic bad guy, but I like Rory McCann on Game of Thrones, and he inhabits his character with a lot of the Hound, so it was enjoyable to see the Hound on screen. That being said, there's a lot of you just have to roll with what is happening in this movie. There's not a lot of explanation as to why the game is broken, why the story that they're going along isn't the same story that they had to take in Welcome to the Jungle. You just have to roll with it. And I'm fine with that. With these types of movies, I don't need you to explain why things are happening. I don't need to be there to be valid reasons for things that are happening, just as long as the comedy is landing, which in most cases it did. And it has a definitive start, middle, and end that hooks me. And that's the last thing. Until our characters get into the Jumanji video game, it's a very slow start. With Welcome to the Jungle, they hooked you with the characters being conflicted, so you understood where everybody was when they went into the game. With this one, everybody's relatively okay. The only one that has a real distress is Spencer, who is our Dwayne Johnson avatar person. But watching everybody slowly come into place and get to the point where they're going to go back into the Jumanji game is a bit of a drag. And when you want people to get hooked into your movie, you need to hit the ground running a little bit faster than what was happening here. But I guess maybe that's just because people are going to see the Jumanji stuff, because I felt it at the end of the movie as well. When things aren't happening in the Jumanji world, things suddenly slam to a stop, and you're just wishing you were back in the jungle, running from killer monkeys, killer ostriches, and Kevin Hart is saying his back hurts because he is a 75-year-old man. Overall, I enjoyed Jumanji, The Next Level. It's not as good as I was hoping it to be, but as I've said before, it doesn't take much for me to enjoy a movie, and I enjoyed this movie. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. I would recommend. I think kids are going to love it. At some points, parents, be warned, there's some strange adult humor in here. It's been a while since I watched Welcome to the Jungle, so I can't quite recall. But there are a lot of jokes in terms of testicles and things, and I'm not sure if this is directed at kids, that humor's going to either go over their heads or just make everybody uncomfortable. However, if this is the humor that they've been rolling with in the past, maybe I just forgot. It's funny, that's for sure, but you might have to field some awkward questions after the film. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, definitely go check it out. We've got a lot of films to see. There's a lot coming out. Jumanji, I think, will be more available due to its previous popularity and for children. But again, don't take too long to see these movies. You never know. Something might come out that'll push it out of the way. If you've got that spare afternoon, you want to go see a movie with your friends, with your family. If you're a big Dwayne Johnson fan, a big Kevin Hart fan, big Jack Black fan, it's definitely worth checking out. There we are, your cheeky Jumanji review, our last review of the year. I'll be back next week with a very, very exciting, hard worked on, but pretty solid top 10 movies of 2019 with who knows how many honorable mentions. Let's not even go down that rabbit hole. I'm excited to bring that to you, and I will be back next week to do that, and I hope you tune in. But, as always, I appreciate you. Thank you very much for listening to me. It is always a pleasure. You've been spliced in later. Adios, muchachos. I'll catch you next time.